Fellas, opening round of the playoffs done. We got some videos from our losers, Chris and Rory. Neither of these matchups were particularly close, but heartbreak for Najee Nation, especially 151, one of his highest scoring performances of the year. Still loses by 25 points. We'll get into it like we always do. In fact, let's start with Najee Nation first and foremost. Before we dive into his matchup, let's hear from Mr. Rory Ayler himself. Rory, your season's over. What do you got to say, my friend?
What's up, boys? Najee Nation checking in. I just recorded this, but I think it messed up, so I had to re-record it. Congratulations to Ben, 176 points to my 151. A weird season for your boy. Starting off 5-0, beat Steele. Fell on a high after week 5. And then I got really low. My team stunk for about 5 weeks. Didn't have a running back. Made that great trade with Steele, which may have not won me the chip, but it might have prevented him from winning the chip. So you got to look at the people should be thanking me. Really, whoever wins should probably send me like $50 out of the $700 for robbing him in that trade. Just something to keep in mind for your boy. You know, a little Venmo would be fine. Look, you gotta give Ben. He earned it. I was happy to make the playoffs after what my team was looking like after week probably 10 or 11. Last week, I'm really sad making this video. I didn't even want to make this video, but 11 made me. I beat Sam last week, and we had a side bet, which was in the video last week. So I won $10. He did Venmo me $10. He's a man of his word. I actually forgot that happened. But he did double it down into double or nothing. The Steelers would lose on Monday night, which that didn't happen. They look great. So I guess he owes me 10 more. I'm officially on Team Caleb for the rest of the year. I think he's going to win. His team deserves it the most. I'm not sure if he's won a chip before. I can't remember. But if he hasn't, he certainly deserves one. So rooting for him. I learned my lesson this year. Never drop Najee. Doesn't matter if he's out for the year. He's the backbone of my locker room, and he really fired the boys up for the last 3 weeks of the season. Najee Nation out. Until next year.
Najee Nation. Tough one. That's a tough way to go out. I didn't realize that we were calling your trade with Steele you winning, even though you gave up Puka, and Igbuka has been horrible, and Quinchon hasn't been good either. So, I guess we'll revisit that at a later date when it's applicable, but we'll do his matchup now. We just heard from him, 176 to 151, as you mentioned. Yeah, 151, normally enough to get it done, you want to say. Josh Allen with 24, Courtland Sutton with 24, Dalton Schultz with 21, Saquon with 17, Javonte with 15, Zay Flowers with 15. And then his two lowest scorers were the guys he got from Steele. So I don't know what he's on with 10 and 4. Puka outscored both of them combined. So I don't really know what he's talking about there, but sure, why not? Kaimi Fairbairn, 17 points, the kicker 4. He's been awesome. Cowboys D with 1. I had them, dropped them. I guess I left them as a little nuke for Rory because I thought I was going to be playing this week, but obviously wasn't, so I didn't need them. Tough one, for sure. 151, like I said, normally left to get it done, and he had solid outputs from a lot of his guys. Ben's side of it, 176, one of our higher scoring performances of the year, definitely his highest scoring performance. Amon-Ra with 41. Travis Etienne with 31. Josh Jacobs with 23. Dallas Goedert with 25. Olave with 20. So, he was pretty top-heavy. Rory was very much more spread out with only 2 guys, less than 10 points. Ben had 1, 2, 3, 4 different guys not break 10. Burrow only with 5. Jalen Waddle with 4. Juwan Johnson with 7. And then his kicker was 7 as well. So, he left some points on the bench with Herbert over Burrow, but not a whole lot. Obviously, Amon-Ra 41 points. That's just crazy. And then the Lions still lose that game. ETN with 31. They just beat the piss out of the Jets that whole game. Olave with 20. Goddard with 25. The Jags D was a great play with 11 points too. So his guys showed up this week. The going got tough, and Ben showed up. He was 6-7-1. He finds a way to score 176 points. Was the highest scoring team this week for guys that were playing. So I believe, honestly, looking at our score, fun fact, we would have tied 176.8, 176.8. I actually need to double check what the tiebreaker is. I think it goes to the higher seed. But I'm going to double check that now that I mentioned it, because if we tie in the playoffs, that would be unprecedented, and I've never seen that before. So Ben gets a win here. We just heard from Rory. His season's done. Thank you, Najee Nation, for a great year. Looking forward to the second half of our men's league season as well, now that the fantasy football season's over. Would love for the Steelers to get in the playoffs over the Ravens, because I think that'd be funny. But thank you for coming out this year. Ben, you do have Steel in the next round of the playoffs. We'll get to that. But first, let's hear from Chris. His season's done. There will be no back-to-back. He loses by 40 to Caleb. Let's hear from him, and then we'll get into their matchup too.
What up, boys? A little closing message from the Gillimunati. Honestly, I knew I wasn't going to win it all. No more back-to-back champs. But I'm glad, low-key, that I lost and don't have to deal with this team anymore. I think Ford kind of mentioned that, and I'm in the same boat. Having to... I don't know, I was looking back and I was like, honestly, I didn't really have a chance. The past 2 weeks, really scraped by, barely beaten Sam, did not come out of the playoffs. You guys are welcome. And then no shot, scoring 122 first round of the playoffs. Just wasn't going to happen. I think I got to go cheering for Ben, I guess, my tie brother, to try to get him a dub against Steele. Caleb, I'm also on your side too, to beat 11. A little Ben Caleb action in the championship would be awesome. Then I don't really care who wins, as long as it's not the Jareds. But gosh, if it was the Jareds, it would suck. But it's not me. I look forward to seeing Chase do his 2-beer mile, and it's been a good season. So thanks, Levin, for putting it on, and hopefully I'll see you guys soon.
Yes, there will be no back-to-back championship from our good friend Chris. I can't tell if he's driving. I don't think he is, because his seatbelt's not buckled and doesn't look like he's moving. So I appreciate you being safe out there. A little offended that everyone's just rooting for Caleb when he's playing me this week. What the hell, guys? I get that we don't want Jared Steele. What did I ever do to you guys besides run a very well-run, efficient, and fair league, and everyone's just rooting for me to lose? Whatever. We'll get into this matchup. I mean, this matchup was done on Thursday Night Football, honestly. Kyle Pitts with 45 points, and that was about it. 161 from Caleb. Obviously, you normally win with 161. And this was about the opposite of what I had said, that he was a Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon A-Chain merchant. Jahmyr Gibbs only with 9 points, one of his lowest scores of the week. A-Chain with 18, he was fine. But, you know, he was carried by Trevion, who had 30, broke out that long touchdown. That was awesome. Kyle Pitts with 45. Troy Franklin, big bounce back game with 20. Trey Tucker was 0. He scored 161. One of his flex scored 0 points. Texans D was 6. Dicker the kicker with 13. Mahomes, who is now done for the year. And I will say, Caleb texted me that after Mahomes went down, he made the play to pick up Sam Darnold off the waivers before waivers could even reset, because he was looking ahead. More power to you, Caleb. I'm glad you didn't pick up Jacoby, because I grabbed him thinking that you would be trying to. So, obviously, Sam Darnold probably going to have a career weekend this week. That's just how it goes on Thursday Night Football. We'll see. Thursday Night Football games are always weird. But, yeah, we love that for Caleb. He's thinking ahead. And you know what? Now that I'm talking about Caleb, I get why people are rooting for him, even if they're rooting against me. Chris's side of the matchup, 121. That was good for our lowest scorer out of the 4 playoffs teams this week, but all 4 of them did have pretty good weeks in general. Dak with 11, Bucky with 8, Ramondre with 10. Yeah, not great. Jamar with 23 was solid. Kittle with 22 was solid. AJ Brown was just okay. Diggs was 5. Jordan Addison with 8. Seahawks D was 6. That was pretty disappointing. And then Chase McLaughlin, his kicker, he did play the correct kicker. So he played the incorrect defense and the correct kicker. It wouldn't have mattered. He lost by 40. This was not close, and the matchup was basically done before it even started, before Chris really even had anyone except for Bucky play this game. Well, it was Bucky and Chase, but they got dogged down by Kyle Pitts. So, Chris, thank you for a great year. I know you won last year. It's been great to have you back in the league after your brief hiatus. You and Rory, both great adds to the league, both keep the chat going, which we appreciate. So thank you both for great seasons. Better luck next year, and let's get into these matchup previews for the semifinals. Our first matchup, we got 13-1 Steel, 6-7-1 Ben. I guess 7-7-1 now Ben. Steel comes in at about a 26-point favorite. However, Ben would have beat these two teams had they been playing each other last week. These two teams played each other twice during the regular season. Steele won both matchups in Week 2 by a score of 186 to 142, and then again in Week 14 by a score of 131 to 128. But if you recall, that was when Ben inadvertently left Amon-Ra on the bench, which would have been the deciding factor in that matchup. Let's look at Steele's side of the matchup first. He's got Lamar in right now, who did not practice today. He has the flu. He did pick up Tyler Show off the waivers. I bet he was a little upset with me for picking up Jacoby Brissett to play some defense on Caleb. Steele's team, honestly, obviously 13-1. It's hard to go 13-1. I don't think that's ever been done before in our league's history, but has cooled off significantly since the beginning of this year, and I think his projection is probably a little inflated. I don't think he's going to hit 159 this week. Lamar obviously hasn't been great. Jonathan Taylor has really, really not been as good the past couple weeks as you want. Obviously, 49 points in Week 10, and then his bye 8, 15, 11, and 13. So not what you've been expecting from JT. Bijan's amazing. JSN, amazing. So you got JSN and Puka both on Thursday Night Football. So this Thursday night game is massive for this matchup. I don't know if you guys have Twitter or X the Everything app. Puka was hanging out with Aiden Ross yesterday and asked to get them into the facility. And McVay was like, "What the hell are you talking about? We have a game on Thursday, which is our most important game of the year." He also complained about the refs on the stream and said a bunch of other crazy stuff. So if you are not hip to what Puka was doing this week, I very strongly suggest you look at it. Would be legitimately the funniest thing of all time if Puka is benched for the first quarter or something for a coach's decision because of his antics off the field this week. Then I would say, Rory, you're absolutely right. You handed Steele a bomb and it exploded on him in the playoffs. We'll see if that happens. But that would actually be hilarious. Harold Fannin Jr., tight end 8. He was very good 2 weeks ago. I'm honestly not sure how he did last week because I was stuck in the Boston airport for 9 hours. He had 12 points last week, so he's been better. He's been good since Shador took over. Justin Jefferson's been horrible. 8, 2, 3, and 4 in his last 4 weeks, and that was your first round pick. So that's tough. And then Jaden Reed off the waivers. I had him, let him go. Other Jared picked him up. Chiefs D against Tennessee was a very popular play up until I think the Chiefs have decided to pack it in. We'll see about that. I could see the Titans taking this one over, a Chiefs-less Mahomes-less Chiefs team. So that'll be interesting to watch. Then Brandon Aubrey. Ben's side of the matchup, he hasn't made any changes since last week. So he did pick up the Saints defense. He beat me out on the waiver claim, so thanks for that, Ben. He's got Burrow in over Herbert right now. Josh Jacobs, ETN, that's not changing. Amon-Ra's not changing. Jalen Waddle, he takes a pretty big hit to his projection with Tua being benched in favor of Quint Ewers, but he wasn't really great last week anyway. Goddard against the Commies, that's a great matchup. Olave and Juwan Johnson, still rocking the double tight end. It worked for him last week and went out again one more time. Olave's been great. Juwan Johnson, I think, has been fine. 7, 8, 7, 7, 10, 8, 7, 7 the last 4 weeks, so he's just been just fine. But it is against the Jets, and the Jets are very, very bad, and then Cairo Santos against the Packers. So, I would love to pick Ben here. I know everyone's probably rooting for Ben to win this one. He did just score 180, but he is a 26-point underdog here, and I think probably for a reason. I would love for Ben to win because I think it'd be funny if Steele lost in his very first playoff game after all of that. But I do think that Steele probably is going to take this one, and he will be making a championship appearance just based off Bijan, basically. But it'll be telling. The Thursday night game is basically going to dictate how this matchup goes with JSN and Puka squaring off against each other. So we'll see. I'm excited to watch this one, but I am going to take Steele here, unfortunately. And our second matchup is me and Caleb comes in at about a 13-point favorite here, 152 to 139. So Caleb and Steele, the two highest projected totals out of everyone, 159 and 152 respectively. Me at 139, Ben at 133. Me and Caleb did play previously in Week 8. Caleb beat me by a score of 163 to 120. We'll do Caleb's side of the matchup first because he did beat me and he's on the left, so it's easy for me to read. He picked up C.J. Stroud. He does have Sam Darnold. Not sure who's going to play out of the two of them. Right now he's got Stroud in, so I'm assuming he's going with him. Obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane. For me, we don't love this matchup against the Bengals, who are historically bad on defense. But we're hopeful that Quint Ewers sucks a lot, and maybe that takes some value out of Devon Achane, but probably not. We're going to keep our fingers crossed on that one. Lab McConkey against Dallas, as Caleb just mentioned in the chat. He's hoping for, the Cowboys to give up another generational performance. And I remember Troy Franklin had 29 against them the last time me and Caleb played. So that is Caleb's strategy. He's been sticking to it all year, and it's been working for him the second half of the season. Kyle Pitts now sitting at the tight end 3 after his 49-point performance last week. Gets a pretty good matchup against Arizona this week as well. For me, gotta hope Drake London's coming back because if he's not, Kyle Pitts is basically the wide receiver 1 in that offense. Traylon Henderson, my GOAT, love that guy. Took him a little bit to get going, but since week 10, 28, 32, 11, 11, and 30. We love Trevion. Our matchup will be coming down to that Sunday Night Football game. I got Drake May. He's got Trevion. Obviously, unless the game is like very out of hand at that point, in theory, it should come down to that game. But we'll see. And then Dicker the kicker against Dallas in the Dome. So that's a good matchup from a kicking perspective for Caleb. On my side of the matchup, this is, I think, the first time all year I've had to make a start-sit decision. Right now I have Tet on my bench. We'll see if I plug him in for maybe Omarion Hampton or Wan'Dale Robinson. But this is the first time we've had some depth basically since week 1. So it's an interesting dilemma to have. Drake May, my GOAT, my Lord and Savior, Sunday Night Football, primetime in Baltimore. James Cook against Cleveland. That sucked for me last week, having James Cook on bye and then playing against him in the quarterfinals for another league and against the Patriots. Him scoring 3 touchdowns while I was stuck in the Boston airport for 9 hours, ending my season and beating the Patriots. That was not fun while I'm bye for this week. That sucked. Chase Brown, Mike Evans, Wan'Dale, Trey McBride has just been amazing. I love Trey McBride. I can't believe I got him in the 4th round. CeeDee Lamb didn't practice today due to an illness. We're going to have to monitor that for sure. Right now, we got Omarion Hampton against Dallas. Dallas defense is not great, so we're going to hope he gets a touchdown there. We were hoping to get the Saints D off the waivers. Ben took them, so thanks, Ben, again. First freaking waiver claim I think he's made all year. So we picked up the Titans D against Gardner Minshew Chiefs, which is, if you would have told me a week ago I'd be starting the Titans D against Kansas City, I would have been, what the hell are you talking about, buddy? But that's what I'm rocking with right now. We'll see if that's what I end up doing. And then Jason Myers, who honestly is legitimately my best player, knock on wood, has been so far over the past 6 weeks, 16, 13, 14, 20, 14, and then 26 last week when I wasn't playing. So, Caleb's favored here. But if you think I'm ever going to pick against myself in a playoff situation, you clearly have not been watching these videos all week. I know we're dogs here. We're hoping Marvin Harrison Jr. plays, knock on wood, because he's pretty mid, low-key. Maybe Caleb plugs him in, he nukes his lineup. DJ Moore, we'll see. He's been super hit or miss this whole year, too. He's had, 2 games where he's been below 1. He's had a couple games where he's been over 20. So, which Caleb Williams, DJ Moore combo are we going to get? Texans D against the Raiders. I hate that I have to play against that. That is a fantastic play this week, Caleb. I'm very nervous about that. So, but like I said, we're going to pick me. I know the league is rooting for Caleb. I know the league's rooting for Ben. No one wants to see a Jared versus Jared championship. I want to see a Jared versus Jared championship. Why doesn't anyone ever think about what the commissioner wants, huh? In all seriousness, good luck to everyone this week. Hoping for some more high-scoring games. If you're still watching these and you're eliminated, I appreciate you. More power to you. If I had to guess, Ford, you're watching. Chase, you're not watching. Derek, you're not watching. Sam, you might be watching. I think that wraps me. Go Pats.